Welcome to NEXTGames' Intense Ambuscade series, December 2023, against a Soulflayer and a number of Imps. Now the last time we saw this one was almost 4 years ago, in February of 2020. Now I was only able to achieve an easy win back then, but was able to pull off several normal wins today, one of which you're seeing right now. Now there's a lot to this fight this month, but I'll try to simplify it as much as possible. First, key item acquisition. This month you need a single demon kill for your first run of the day, and 3 kills for multiple runs in the same day. My favorite place to get these is to Home Point Warp to Zarkabard S, where you can find demons and imps nearby. Now let's move on to the run itself, which is against a Soulflayer called the Master Manipulator, who is a blue mage. He's assisted by a number of Bozetto imps. The number of these imps depends on the difficulty you're on. You will face 3 on very easy, 4 on easy, 5 on normal, 7 on difficult, and 8 on very difficult. Now these imps cannot be slept and must be killed before any damage can be done to the Soulflayer. So let's go ahead and talk about those imps first. They will use high-level AoE elemental spells, but the main risk from them is their abilities. They have 4 of them. Bugle Call is an AoE bio, and Stifling Tantra is an AoE silence. Now with Yoran Oran or Monboro, I've not had any issues with that coming off pretty much immediately, but of course if you're in a party, you're going to want to make sure that your mages are ready to get those off of you if these abilities happen to go off. This leaves us with the last 2 abilities, which are much nastier. The first is Dark Recital, which is an AoE full dispel and paralysis, and this causes all of your trust to have to rebuff everyone while also trying to cure everyone from the damage they just took from this ability. It will often leave you without your abilities for periods of time as well, such as when your Yonin timer was just used. Now the other nasty ability that you can see here is Grating Tantra, which will inflict amnesia for up to a minute, and this will dramatically slow down the beginning of your run if this happens to go off. To combat all these abilities, I suggest you feed these imps as little TP as possible. In my example, this means having a high amount of Subtle Blow, paired with a high amount of Evasion and Shadows, to make sure I'm only feeding the imp that I'm fighting TP and only in small amounts. You can often kill the imp before he has a chance to use an ability, but of course this gets more challenging the higher you increase the difficulty. Now it's worth noting that the imps take no damage from AoE abilities, so unfortunately you won't be able to take them out that way either. Now after all of the imps are dead, you can now focus on the Master Manipulator. He has access to a staggering 19 spells and abilities, so you will run from this point forward will largely be on which of those abilities he's going to use. Let's go over the worst ones that you're going to see. You want to watch out for Droning Whirlwind, which can dispel many of your buffs, and Mind Purge, and Reprobation, which will dispel all of your buffs, including your food. Tribulation will inflict a powerful bio effect that can hit for upwards of 1000 damage per tick on very difficult, so you want to get that off right away. Fortunately, Trust are quick to get the abundance of negative status effects off of you, but again, if you're in a party, your healers are going to need to be ready to deal with the following negative status effects that you're going to get when certain abilities are used. Dreamflower will sleep everyone, Embalming Earth will slow, Blistering Roar will terrorize, Mind Blast will paralyze, Immortal Anathema will curse, and Mind Blast will paralyze. Now in addition to all of that, he has access to Immortal Shield, which gives him a visible shield that will absorb TP and lessen the damage that he can receive dramatically. He will also gain a Silence Aura. Now you need to break this shield as quickly as possible. You do this by using critical hits and weapon skills, which can be hard as your normal hits will be hitting for 0 and returning no TP, making those weapon skills hard to get in. For this phase of the fight, I switched from my Malignance gear that I used at the start to a full set of Kendetsuba gear for its increased critical hit rate. This allows us to tear through the shield quickly, which is important as if a second Immortal Shield is used, with the first shield up, he will gain an immunity to piercing, slashing, or blunt for the rest of the fight, which if solo can potentially end your run. Now that we have gone over all that you'll be seeing and dealing with, let's talk about how it all comes together. Now if you're solo, you want to head in on very easy, easy or normal, as you see me doing here, and immediately take out those imps. Now while you do so, be sure to limit the TP gain as much as possible with Subtle Blow, Evasion, and Shadows, and be sure to keep hate on all of them, as they will start using a lot of abilities if they start getting TP off your Trust in the back line. Speaking of Trust, I recommend focusing on haste cap and healing only with your trust selection this month. You see that I'm using Koltada in this battle example here, but in general I found a trust such as Sethus or another healer was a better final member of the party. Now once all imps are down, now switch to your critical hit gear set and start in on the main Soulflayer. Now I was able to just add Kendatsuba gear in place of my Malignance gear on normal and it worked just fine, but you may want to add higher levels of critical hit rate to your gear set on the higher difficulties. Be sure to keep the Soulflayer away from your party members and any trust, as many of his abilities are AoE. Now for parties this month, you're going to want to limit the number of people who are in range of the enemies and all the nasty abilities that they're going to be using. This makes Corsairs, Rangers, and Summoners ideal this month because they can deal lots of ranged damage. Now a solid Rune Fencer or Paladin can pull all of the mobs to a corner at the start of the fight, while the ranged damage dealers get all the damage in first on the Imps and then on the main NM. You can use your Summoner to speed up the run with strong blood packs, or go for an easier fight while using Mewing Lullaby to limit the amount of nasty TP moves that your party's going to see. Now I found that easy wins took me 3 to 5 minutes, and normal wins took me 8 to 12 minutes this month, depending largely on how many times Immortal Shield was used and what abilities the Imps were able to get off at the start of the fight. That's about all I have to go over for this month. Enjoy the rest of the battle example and have a wonderful holiday, everyone. That's going to be it for this month's Intense Ambuscade. I hope you found that helpful. Have a great holiday, everyone. We'll see you next time.